Hi, I'm Lauren Stanek,
Hi, I'm Jodi Smits Anderson.
and you guys are queuing into our very first episode of 2 Minutes to Change.
Yeah, this is exciting stuff. We don't know what we're doing, but you're going to help us figure it out.
It's up to me to start to ask some of the interesting, maybe even hard-hitting questions of Jodi here. So, Jodi, let's start with an easy one. Tell me about what was the very first defining moment of when you got your call to be engaged with sustainability?
Oh, yeah, you say that's an easy one. I think that in hindsight, I know that I was probably suckered in by that Keep America Beautiful campaign and the guy paddling down the river and being sad because I kayak all the time and I'm always picking up garbage when I kayak. So that touched me. It frustrates me now as an adult to look back and know that that was a way for the can and bottle industry, the soda industries, to make it the responsibility of the individual to recycle. They were trying to duck their own responsibility by making it about individuals recycling as opposed to taking back those bottles and cans and doing the right thing as corporations.
Kind of like, okay, so we have Burned Dairy here that still sells their milk in glass containers. Okay. So kind of something like that I would consider that an industry responsibility, because then you take the bottle back and you get your deposit back on the next bottle of milk.
Yeah.
So looking at, I guess that's how you kind of started, but you've really parlayed this into an entire career that involves your regular day job, a blog, your volunteer passion work on the side of which is full. So, how did you get to that point?
Oh, well, I'm an architect. And so in my designs, I've always seen that we could be learning from nature better in the designs that we do and connecting people with nature. I hate the idea of buildings being not only separate from their surroundings and treated separately, but also the building itself has different systems that need to work together. And I've always been kind of aware of those systems and the people within those systems. I'm also a theater person. I used to do community theater. I was a director, a stage manager, an actor, a singer, a dancer, or whatever. And I made a presentation about the skills that you need as a green guru or a green person. I think it was the 8 habits of highly effective green people. And I made this presentation and it combined my systems thinking, my desire to inform people and to learn from them with my performance kind of interest. And so I started speaking more and I really enjoy that tremendously. And now that turned into, just from volunteering on a committee, it turned into an opportunity to work for New York State government as their first director of sustainability in a state authority. And I just realized I've been there 13 years. And I thought it would take like 5 to fix everything. So I think that's also part of why I do all this random stuff, is because I really want to have an impact, and it's not going to be one thing that any of us does. It's going to be a million little things that over time kind of aggregate into all of a sudden things are changing.
I guess what's your biggest pet project that you're working on right now?
I think my biggest personal project is to help people understand how language changes connection, and simple things from in meetings when somebody comes up with an idea and you say, yeah, but we don't have the money to do that. Instead, you could say, yes, and in this case, our budget is tighter. How can we do that within this budget? So I'm really working on language. And then
I've always been really impressed by your ability to consistently use aspects of your life to tie back to sustainability. This morning, I read one of your blog posts about you went apple picking back in October, and you then played several games.
Oh, yeah.
And you were able to link this, social experience back to sustainability. And I've always found that very impressive. And it sounds like It's just sort of so ingrained in you that it just permeates everywhere. It permeates theater, it permeates your social engagements, it permeates your activities.
Yeah, that's a thing. If I can help people understand that sustainability is a vehicle for improving everything we do,
Mm-hmm.
instead of an add-on that costs more, I think that that will be a huge win.
Agreed.
I think my biggest failure in the world of sustainability is the fact that, and you mentioned that it sounds like sustainability is connected to everything I do, and I make those connections, and sometimes it's hard for me to understand how to communicate with somebody who doesn't think that way, and I struggle with that a lot, because the people that you and I work with, I think, especially through the USGBC, and then I work with NESI, and I work with ILFI, all of these organizations, they all get it. So you get used to talking with people who get it.
Right.
And then when you have to talk to people who don't get it, or who do get it but don't realize they get it, you know, they think that I'm talking about theory, or that I'm talking about wacko things, or that I'm being idealistic, and they don't understand that I'm I'm incredibly pragmatic, and that I want them to achieve their goals, and sustainability is just a tool. It's hard for me to talk to them,
Right.
because, and I mess it up all the time. All the time. And I, you know, then, well, I would say I go home, but I am home, and I pout because I can't figure out how to break through that Jodi the tree hugger impression, you know.
I get it. So how do you feel like COVID has impacted our world of sustainability?
Well, I think that there are a couple of lessons like this, you know, being able to communicate to a bigger audience in quick, light touches that are maybe video based or audio based. Understanding that local, I think local is a key component of sustainability. Local foods, local shops, local business ownership, developing your own community. Mm-hmm. And there can be that a sense of community online as well that fills other needs. And I'm working with some local businesses through Green Drinks, and you run the Green Drinks in Syracuse, and I'm working on the one in Albany. And we learned from some businesses last night how they're transitioning, and how local, they could be a locally owned business doing local things based on local resources, but now they're also trying to become a wider reach with selling their goods, and the balance between those things is very interesting. They're having to put more focus on marketing and website development. There's a whole world of communications that has to open up in order to support people. Where I hopefully we'll never lose this level of communication and interactivity.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I know I'm excited to see how the New York State Green Building Conference is going to transition to all online, and others. I mean, a lot of them have been, and I think it makes it more attainable in a lot of respects, because then, you know, the need to travel and pay for the travel and everything is no longer an issue for people with that. Okay. Can you tell everybody your Twitter handle?
Yes, it's at greenerjsa. No, that's not right. Yes, at greenerjsa.
Can you tell everyone your blog?
It's 2begreener.com. So it's the number 2, the letter B, greener.com.
Okay.
And
I just want everybody to have this so that they can follow along.
That's awesome.
Day to day, moving forward.
Because we're all learning together.
We are.
Yeah.
So tell me, I've got 2 more questions.
Okay.
I think they're easy. I said that once before, though. What is the most important influence taking place right now in your mind? What's like the biggest initiative or the biggest influencer that's happening right now?
Wow.
Not easy?
No, it's not easy. I would say it depends on like where you are. I think that the one that is going to become the biggest influencer is the new climate law in New York State, the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. Some people call it CLICPA, which is just weird, but I call it the climate law. And it's said it has the most aggressive greenhouse gas emissions reduction targets in the nation. And it affects every sector of the state. And I say it's going to become a big deal because nobody actually understands it yet. And people are, when they don't understand something that's that big, they just pretend it doesn't exist. And I think a lot of people are pretending that right now. But it's going to affect how we access food, how investments happen for transportation, how healthcare is going to run, how the buildings are going to be built. It's truly has to bring the greenhouse gas emissions in New York State, manufacturing everything, down 85% by 2050.
And so, when is it set to go into effect?
It's already a law. It
is. Okay. It already is a law.
The implementation process isn't developed yet, and that's
the big question mark.
Yeah, everybody who knows about it should be already saying, how can I make this building net zero? It should be happening already.
You got some work to do.
Well, you can, set the goal for net zero and you miss it, you're still a lot better than Energy Code. So
I know. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
All right.
Failure.
What failure?
Hoorah, failure.
Yes. All right. And then who's the biggest hero right now?
The biggest hero right now. Actually, you know what? This is not someone you'd think of in sustainability realm so much, but Dr. Joseph Allen, who has been very involved in defining air quality in buildings and understanding how we need to address COVID, especially in moving back into schools. I've been following him on Twitter. I met him at a green building conference. He was part of the cognitive function study that happened at Syracuse Center of Excellence. I think that his ability to communicate, his feet on the ground, real approach to COVID and health in buildings, and his new book are all amazing. And I highly recommend you finding out who Dr. Joseph Allen is.
Got it. We'll look up.
Yeah, it's been a tremendous pleasure.
Success.
So here we go. We're in the room. We're both going to be interviewing people going forward. Lauren is always going to get to the success moments, and I'm always going to get to the failure moments. And that's the way it will be.
That is the format forevermore.